In my years of walking this earth, observing people and their ways, I've come to realize something important. Intelligence isn't just about knowing facts or having a sharp mind. It's about how you live, how you treat others, and how well you learn from your mistakes. But here's the twist. There are some unmistakable signs, 6 of them to be exact, that reveal when someone lacks wisdom. Now, before you roll your eyes or chuckle at the thought of this list, let me tell you why it matters. Spotting these signs isn't about judging others. It's about self-reflection, growth, and avoiding these pitfalls in our own lives. It's also about helping those who might not even realize they're stuck in their own cycle of foolishness. So, join me on this journey of discovery. Together, we'll uncover the 6 undeniable signs of a foolish person. Each carries a lesson, a story, and a mirror for us to reflect upon. Because the path to wisdom always begins with awareness. Are you ready to walk this road with me? Let's begin. 1. A closed mind. A closed mind is like a locked door. It keeps out knowledge, opportunities, and personal growth. People who have a closed mind refuse to listen to new ideas. They believe they already know everything, so they block themselves from learning. This kind of person builds a wall around their mind, brick by brick, using fear, pride, and stubbornness. They stick to old ways, believing that anything new is a threat. But true intelligence isn't about knowing everything, it's about understanding that you don't. Let me tell you about Mark, a department manager at a company I once worked for. Mark was convinced that the old ways of working were the best. Even when his team was falling behind competitors, he refused to change. One day, a younger employee suggested using modern project management software to improve efficiency. Mark dismissed the idea immediately. "We've done it this way for 10 years, and it has worked fine," he said. But in reality, it wasn't working. While other teams in the company moved forward with better tools, Mark's team struggled. Instead of admitting the problem, Mark blamed his staff, the market, and even luck, but never himself. A closed mind doesn't just stop personal growth, it damages the people around it. Wise people, on the other hand, are always open to learning. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth," which never harmed anyone. The harm is to persist in one's self-deception and ignorance. So, if you ever feel resistant to new ideas, pause and ask yourself, is it really wrong, or am I just afraid of change? Only when we let go of stubbornness can true wisdom take root. 2. Constant blaming. Foolish people never take responsibility for their mistakes. They always find someone else to blame. A failed project? The market was too tough. A missed promotion? The boss was biased. A bad relationship? The other person was toxic. But blaming is just a way to avoid facing the truth. And the worst part? This habit keeps people trapped in the same cycle of failure because they never learn from their mistakes. Let's talk about Lisa, an event organizer I once worked with. She was in charge of planning a major conference, but it flopped due to poor attendance. Instead of taking responsibility, Lisa immediately blamed the marketing team. She claimed they didn't promote the event well enough. But when we looked into it, we found the real reason. Lisa had failed to send the event details on time. Because of her delay, the marketing campaign was also delayed. But even when she was confronted with the facts, she refused to admit her mistake. As a result, her colleagues lost trust in her, and eventually, Lisa had to step down from her position. Wise people understand that taking responsibility is the first step to improvement. They know that mistakes are not failures. They are lessons. If you catch yourself blaming others, stop and ask, what role did I play in this? Because the truth is, when you blame others, you lose the power to change your situation. 3. Arrogance over humility. Have you ever met someone who always tries to prove they are the smartest person in the room? This is a clear sign of arrogance, the third trait of a foolish person. Arrogant people believe they know everything. They don't listen. They dismiss others' opinions and they refuse to admit when they're wrong. But here's the truth. Arrogance isn't a sign of intelligence. It's a sign of deep insecurity. Truly wise people don't need to prove their intelligence. They listen, learn, and respect different perspectives. Instead of seeking to be right, they seek to understand. Take Michael, for example. He was a manager at a large corporation who believed his ideas were always the best. In meetings, he spoke over colleagues, ignored their suggestions, and made every decision alone. One day, the company faced a critical issue. Michael refused to take advice from his team, convinced his plan was the right one. When the project failed, instead of taking responsibility, he blamed his team for not executing his brilliant ideas correctly. But the truth was, his arrogance had blinded him. He wasn't leading, he was controlling. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, it is the mark of an educated mind to entertain a thought without accepting it. If you ever find yourself acting like Michael, stop and ask, am I trying to learn or just trying to be right? True wisdom comes from humility, not from making others feel small. 4. Lack of empathy. A lack of empathy is one of the clearest indicators of foolishness. People who lack empathy fail to consider others' emotions. They judge quickly, criticize harshly, and rarely offer kindness or understanding. But empathy isn't just about being kind. It's about truly understanding people. It's the ability to step into someone else's shoes and see the world from their perspective. Without it, relationships suffer, trust fades, and people become isolated. Let's talk about David, a coworker of mine. He had a habit of complaining about project delays without taking the time to understand why they happened. He believed that any missed deadline was due to laziness or incompetence. One day, Rachel, a dedicated team member, failed to submit a report on time. Without hesitation, David criticized her in front of the entire team, calling her unprofessional. What he didn't know was that Rachel's son was in the hospital, and she was struggling to balance work and personal life. A year later, David's mother fell seriously ill, and he had to take time off. For the first time, he experienced the stress of managing personal hardships while trying to meet deadlines. Only then did he realize how much his words had hurt Rachel. Lack of empathy blinds people to the struggles of others, but wise people take a moment to listen, to understand, and to support those around them. If you ever find yourself being too quick to judge, pause, and ask, how would I feel if I were in their situation? Because in the end, the way we treat others reflects who we truly are. 5. The fear of change. Life is always changing, but foolish people resist it. They cling to old habits, routines, and familiar surroundings, even when they no longer serve them. But life is like a river. It keeps flowing. Those who adapt grow. Those who resist get left behind. Let's talk about Robert, a man who lived in the same small neighborhood all his life. His children moved to a different city for better opportunities and encouraged him to join them. I know everyone here. Why should I leave, he said, refusing to consider the idea. But time passed, and the neighborhood changed. Old friends moved away, familiar shops closed, and the once lively streets became quiet. Robert found himself lonely, clinging to a past that no longer existed. Finally, after much convincing, he decided to move closer to his children. To his surprise, the change he once feared turned out to be a blessing. He found new friendships, a sense of belonging, and a renewed purpose in life. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." If you fear change, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Growth comes from stepping outside your comfort zone. Life doesn't stand still, and if you don't move with it, you risk being left behind. Embracing change doesn't mean letting go of who you are. It means allowing yourself to evolve into someone even stronger. 6. Talking more than listening. The sixth sign of a foolish person Foolish people love the sound of their own voice. They talk endlessly, interrupt conversations, and rarely listen to others. They are so focused on proving their knowledge that they fail to gain new insights. But true wisdom is found in silence. Wise people understand that every person they meet has something to teach them. They listen not just to respond, but to understand. Let's talk about Daniel, a business executive who always believed he was the smartest person in the room. In meetings, he would speak over his colleagues, dismiss their ideas, and push his own opinions without listening to feedback. One day, his company was struggling with declining sales. His team tried to offer solutions, but Daniel was too busy talking to hear them. He insisted on his own outdated strategy, ignoring the advice of those who had fresh ideas. A few months later, a competitor who had embraced innovation surpassed Daniel's company. His arrogance and refusal to listen had cost the business valuable opportunities. It was only after major losses that he finally realized his mistake. On the other hand, let's consider Emily, a successful entrepreneur. Unlike Daniel, she made it a habit to listen more than she spoke. She valued the opinions of her team and encouraged open discussions. Because of this, she was able to adapt to market changes, improve her company, and build strong relationships with her employees. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is the mark of an educated mind to entertain a thought without accepting it." If you often dominate conversations, pause and ask, "Am I truly listening, or just waiting for my turn to speak?" Listening isn't just about being polite. It's about gaining knowledge, understanding others, and growing as a person. The next time you find yourself in a conversation, take a step back. Practice active listening. Give others the space to share their thoughts. Because in the end, those who listen learn, and those who learn grow wiser every day. We've all been foolish at times, but the key to wisdom is recognizing our mistakes and growing from them. So, which of these signs do you see in yourself? More importantly, what will you do about it? Because wisdom isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing to learn. And that, my friends, is the greatest sign of intelligence.